and welcome to Your Questions Answered. I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture, joined by another Dudley boy, Michael Hamflett from What Culture, answer all your burning wrestling questions. But before we get into this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we review Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete. And a very good quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett to answer all of your burning wrestling questions. We pitched this out at What Culture WWE on X yesterday. And I'm going to cheat a little bit here and use a question from my wife to start us off. Is
this one of the things where we haven't got any? This is your DJ background where it's like, so many texts coming in, guys, but if you want to get a chance to get them read out on air, now's your time. Like, are we...
microphone is...
Is this like a live...
microphone, obviously.
Is this one going out live on the channel, and this is a desperate pitch for... Still time, guys, if you want to get your questions in, we'll go to my wife's first, and then a certain other Mr. and Mrs. Wilbourn. That's right, it's my mum and dad.
Mrs. A. Wilbourn on X says, hello, Anna here, the #1 Adam Wilbourn fan. Love that guy most of the time. That makes sense.
Anna?
It's weird that.
Anna.
Never normally refers to herself as that, but that's presumably her online persona.
There's a bit of mystery on the internet from Mrs. A. Wilbourn.
Do you think Nia, Tamina, and Naomi should join the Bloodline? Swifty, she says.
Tamina, no. Although she would fit more in this none of them can work version of it. Nia, Wyatt, not her. That'd be kind of good.
I really like that. And also, bonus question from me. Do you think if Mercedes joins the Elite, that would affect that potential booking plan?
Oh, in that weird way that sort of...
Oh, you copying me?
We all pretend we're not all copying each other's homework a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Naomi joining the Bloodline would be weird, considering the Usos are about to go babyface.
Well, this is what I was going to say, right? So, like, Nia Jax joining the new version of the Bloodline in the fact that since returning, she has been cast as this, like, I'm going to use the phrase, final boss.
Yes.
Right? For like Rhea Ripley in Australia, there's always that lingering thing where like they could go back to it with Becky Lynch. She's just rocked up on SmackDown, has basically put the entire division on notice. The Bayley match is forthcoming sooner or later. You know that. They've got that great chemistry to go and mine all over again. It doesn't not make sense. Like this version of the Bloodline, they haven't really, they're not Bloodline 2.0, they're not new Bloodline, but this, whatever it is right now, it's violence first, isn't it?
What were you talking about with Sid yesterday? Saved by the Bell, the new class.
Yeah.
Bloodline, the new class.
Bloodline, the new class. I worry slightly that that would like who would be like their sort of their original script. But Paul Heyman is Screech because he's still there.
Yes.
Yeah, that does check. Right. So yeah, I could see Nia Jax, but mainly because I could absolutely see Naomi is in the babyface.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like in this fantasy booking we've all done, where it's Roman, the Usos, and Sami Zayn.
Oh my God.
Versus the Bloodline in War Games. Hoying Nia and Naomi into the mix. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see that. Triple H likes his stables that can cross multiple divisions. It's super effective with the Judgment Day, but then you see it rolled out with the other stables as well. So it feels like a matter of time before like women are included in the mix, and why not as well?
Yeah.
It's more match pairings, it's mixed matches, it's stuff like, again, like just a new flavour to War Games potentially.
Yeah, and for the most part, War Games is not back and forth action. It's just big spots, and you could just do that to take... Naomi could take Nia out, Nia could take Naomi. It's not like, oh, are we going to have to do some, intergender stuff?
They've worked around that stuff.
Yeah.
Like loads as well. They've found like really creative ways. If you think about how like Rhea Ripley was running interference all summer for the Judgment Day, like going all the way back to friggin' Sasha Banks and Reggie. Like, well, not only can we not do man on woman violence, we also can't do wrestler versus non-wrestler wrestling. How's this going to work? And they found a way. Like, I think they could creatively work around some of those little like pushbacks.
Nia Jax is on the outside somehow, taunting Naomi, saying, what are you going to do? And you do the Umaga Bobby Lashley spot, but it's Naomi hitting the outside, the rear cage with the rear view.
Love it. Yeah. Write that one down.
And then that takes us out.
We'll keep that for Survivor Series time.
Okay. Sticking with...
Good question.
Usos discussion. Yeah. Thank you. TTV Mike the Third.
Yeah.
First of all, sends a photo of his dog Thor. Good boy, Thor. But my question for you, lovely gentlemen, says Mike, is with Jimmy out of the Bloodline, how long do you think it'll take for the Usos to reunite and take over the tag team division again?
I want everybody to exert the sort of patience with this that Triple H typically exerts with most things he does in books. Everybody's thought it since, like, I'm not. The Jimmy and Jay was never going to be that good. Ceiling was pretty low on the match at WrestleMania, so this is absolutely not me making excuses for what was an absolute steaming turd of a match itself. However, as that match was taking place, I think everybody in the building was like, get these back together. Like, and then you see Jey Uso's single run. Like, I'm currently writing an article I'm really into about the complexity of the Jey Uso push, the pros and cons of it and stuff. I think he's a fascinating character in pro wrestling at the moment, and it's not, we haven't had a Jey Uso in a while where, like, the arguments about how much he should be pushed are completely rooted in the act. There's no, like, imagine trying to have that conversation about CM Punk.
Yeah.
You would not stand a chance, you know? Like, some of us are able to withhold our biases. Some people on CM Punk just cannot see through the red mist that he sends upon people because of their petty grievances related to the elite who suck. Jey Uso's not that. No. What a cool guy that people just like and cannot deny how amazing he makes everybody feel, and then the bell rings. Like, most people think both of those things. You don't see many people saying, I don't understand the point you're making with this incredible entrance of, like, thousands of people losing their mind. Like, I don't like it. No. And then the match happens, and then there's nobody saying, he's the best wrestler in the game, actually.
Yeah.
In sort of the case of the Usos as a team, I actually think that match and a series of bad singles matches from both Usos has kind of made people, like, reappraise the Usos unfairly. They're goated. The Usos were class.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to get into a culture war. They weren't as good as the Young Bucks when that conversation was going on, but they were.
Disagree.
They
Usos
were
better.
But Usos New Day is the best thing to happen to tag team wrestling between 02 and 2022. Like, within WWE. A genre of wrestling that Vince McMahon openly despised, and the New Day Usos feud in 2017, and then the way they would link back to it with something like Kofi Mania in 2019. It meant something. It
was so good.
That stuff made people feel.
We forfeit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Too much water under the bridge for us not to want you to see this. Like, that's that stuff, right? And that was born out of just class tag matches. So the Usos will ride again, and people were like, oh yeah, they were pretty great. Like, it's okay for them not to be class singles wrestlers.
Yes, I suppose, circling back to what we mentioned, I wouldn't do Usos reuniting before War Games. It'd sort of be part of that package, and then maybe afterwards, in the fallout from War Games, it's like, what are we doing here? I think, by the way, word on Jey Uso, I don't think it's too far to say you can arguably draw comparisons between Jey Uso and John Cena. John Cena, especially in the early stages, no one was saying John Cena's so good because he just has class matches. No. He was just super over. People liked his gimmick. It's a different gimmick. He says yeet. He did raps and talked about suck on these nuts or whatever.
Sure did.
But, like, hugely over. I still remember the night me and Nicholas watched his match with JBL at WrestleMania 21. I remembered that match differently at the time.
Krusty the Clown. What was that?
It was just like, he's got a clothesline. Yeah. He's got shoes he can pump up. 20 minutes later, F you. There we go.
It's over. Yeah. People look pretty pissed.
Kind of glad they didn't switch the main events and didn't put Batista on in this slot and John Cena in the main event. But in terms of, like, crowds, you can't, like you say, you can't deny it.
Jey Uso's a fabulous, as well, like, he's a fabulous tag wrestler, not just within the Usos, because how class was the stuff with Cody?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for people to have,
and
like,
not just the press conference.
Indeed, yeah. It's okay for wrestlers to be good. I've said this for years. Like, if you can be amazing at one thing, the rest can carry, and that's currently what Jey Uso's doing as a singles wrestler. But it's rooted, his in-ring is rooted in how great he is as a tag guy. And I think everybody is so... You know what's really cool about the babyface bloodline, the Roman, Usos, Sami, whatever, is the 2022 stuff people adored, right? Laughed along with it. It's still great to go and rewatch now. It was pulling in people that, like, were just predisposed to just despising the Fed. Like, I cannot deny how amazing that 20-minute talking segment was on SmackDown. Yeah. All that sort of stuff. Jimmy and Sammy's high five, like, sort of when Jay would get furious, but then when he saved him at the trial of Sammy, all of it, right?
So good.
But it was always underpinned with terror and anxiety because Roman was the worst. At the point at which he apologizes, and sorry isn't going to be the hardest word, it's going to be yeet. He's going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, like, watch out for the, like, earth crumbling beneath your feet when Roman says yeet, right?
Yeah, you thought the camera bounced in France.
Like, what a moment that's going to be. Like, the idea of that specific quartet of the Usos, Roman and Sami being in the ring and holding court and them being the good guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, I cannot wait for that. Like, that's more manner out the ass. So you hold off on that as long as you possibly can. And even if you need to put it together in bits, I think I want Roman and Jay to be the first to make friends, because like Jay should be the guy that Roman acknowledges first. I should have seen your bravery for what it was.
Came incredibly close before,
You would have you had me at SummerSlam in that terrible match we had.
Disagree, but yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
Everything Bloodline was goated, so greatest storyline in wrestling history, in my opinion.
You guys pinned me at Money in the Bank.
Oh my God.
In like an all-time
best match ever. The way I remember it. Last 10 minutes and then going out in town with you two.
Yeah. That match was 6 hours long, wasn't it? It was like, well, it felt that way. No, I mean the finish and then the night out we had. So yeah, like that's where the big moment is. It's actually not Jay and Jimmy. They're brothers. They've fought. They've reconciled. It's Roman being like, I'm sorry, I acknowledge it. And then Jimmy's like, yeah.
But also Jimmy would be conflicted again, because it's like, oh great, so I'm just copying Roman again, just following in his footsteps yet again. It's like, no, you can still be your own man and make that decision.
Are you booking so long term that you're booking the reunion and then already booking the split?
Yeah.
Like you're booking the next split, yeah.
But also you had a fantastic idea in terms of linking up the Usos' WrestleMania lore.
Yes. I think I've cracked it. I think I've solved the Jey Uso problem, to go back to what we were talking about with where he fits, because he's so over. I think Jey Uso wins Money in the Bank, and there's been all the talk of like Jey Uso's quest to win a singles title and how he kind of keeps falling short for various reasons. He's kind of running out of road on that front. He lost to Damian Priest at Backlash, and it's like, you can have another shot for another title, but at this point, I think if and when Cody wins the US, Jay might have his eye on that somehow. But either way, Money in the Bank, he wins it. And for the longest time, you're like, well, this is going to be the time. Jey Uso finally, and he's going to have this advantage, this huge advantage. And then the reunion will happen along the way, and he will use his Money in the Bank to cash in advance and say, look, what I want to do with this briefcase, Jimmy, is have us go for the tag titles at WrestleMania. We lost them at 39. We fought each other at 40, rock bottom, like the lowest of ebbs. And now, by a miracle, the Bloodline have got the tag belts. We need to claim those back.
Love it.
Like that's like a 3-year WrestleMania story for the two of them. And it's like Jay and Jay, like it's Jay just being the best dude, and them two like coming together over the thing that bonded them the most was being the best tag team.
And normally I really despise Money in the Bank storylines that don't center around.
I normally despise your pitch.
No, normally I just despise it when it's like, well, why wouldn't you go for a world title?
This means more.
Like, why would you go for a US title for your Austin Theory, for example? But it makes complete sense. I really like that as an idea. Speaking of WrestleMania, Tim Thomas, thank you for your question, Tim, says, if Austin has showed up at WrestleMania instead of Undertaker, would it have been the greatest main event in WrestleMania history?
Yeah.
Already is, for me.
Yeah,
it's the most fun I've ever had.
I don't think we've ever spoken about him on a podcast before, but I'm not the biggest Undertaker guy. And I was even sort of like, the main event was so effectively booked. The second half of that match was so effectively booked in the way that, in the ways that the tease. Again, I'm going to give WWE credit for this. That truck thing with Austin and Cena, this was no accident.
Oh my God!
Like they knew what they were arranging here, and that's why people were expecting Steve Austin. And then you have the weird things like, oh, Dean Ambrose is back. That's cool. But the frenzy that was being built up.
It made sense that looking back. In the moment, you're like, what is going on? But I do like, and I do think they are going to revisit Seth Rollins, the whole Roman just can't get over the split of the Shield and that factory. I love the way that factors.
That was great.
Into watching that back, the who am I going to hit? Cody, and just win and move on. I really like looking back more on that.
I'm never going to get over this, that sort of thing. Yeah, no, to the point, yes, because I think the glass smashing would, like, people have just then. What you have then is, when Austin runs in to help Mankind against The Rock.
Yes.
And what happens is, obviously, people are ready. Like, there's so much chaos going on that, like, people are already, like, at a fever pitch. And then the glass smashing is like, oh, we've just developed a brand new emotional response that we didn't even know we could break our own ceiling. That would have happened, and nobody would have been able to come down, and you would have just heard that relentless roar. The soundtrack to the end of the match would have been as loud as the pop for the glass smash. And I think that's what we lost with The Undertaker a bit, because it was almost like, right, he's here, he's done his business, he's gone again. But bigger picture, Undertaker was being used in the way that, like, sort of Team AEW are for Anarchy in the Arena. Like his deal was like, now this belt means something because this company means Feddy Kingston. Like this belt means something bigger than all of this. And as the
I quite like the spotlight went back onto Cody as a result. Yeah,
I do my bit because I'm still a goddamn locker room leader, but got to get out of here. I don't think he overstayed his welcome. I think if he sticks around,
yes,
it just gets a bit awkward. Like I wish he'd rode off on his beautiful Titan bike rather than running through the crowd. But Austin. I don't think it's a money thing. I think that was not erroneously reported. I think money was the easy answer for whoever was speaking to Steve Austin or Steve Austin's people. Austin is very, very picky about how he is used creatively. Probably now more than ever because he probably always felt like he could do Vince McMahon a solid once, every now and then. That's how you get that Raw 25 disaster. I think he would have been told, we need you to come out here. We need you to stun The Rock. It's going to be it's you and The Rock. It's going to be magic.
Yeah.
And then you need to fuck off. I think he's like, it doesn't work for me, brother. Like, am I stunning Roman before we win? No, it's got to be Cody's.
Yeah.
I love him for his instincts, but I think sometimes you get this as well.
I can't believe that they just, if it was just a figure, just pay what you've got unlimited.
This
money.
is it.
Or, and if you're Austin, you don't need the money either. But
and sorry, from a physical point of view as well, we know how seriously he takes that.
Yeah.
And if he wasn't feeling quite,
fair enough. My copium is he's holding out for the Punk match.
I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
That's the one. That's the one I want.
What is your subjective, not objective, everyone, favorite WrestleMania main event ever?
Right, 39 is maybe the best ever because of 40. Like, I spent a year grappling with 39 as being this like near perfect match with a kind of disastrous conclusion. Stop it. I hold dear that it was the wrong call still, even now. But 40 completes it in a way that like makes that match even better. So my gut,
ballsy move that is. Yeah. I know it is the Rock stuff as well.
Well, this is it. Like, imagine they blow it in January with The Rock, and then it's like, and then like, never mind deleting these off your C. You have to delete your whole Twitter account.
Yeah, just retire at that point.
That 39 thing that was setting up for The Rock to win the belt and surrender it. This has worked brilliantly. Isn't it? Like, that's a disaster.
Yeah.
Right. So the way it all turned out, we got there. So my gut says 39, just because I thought the match was fantastic as well. Like, it was the peak of the Roman run where he was having these minimalist classics. Like, I was there for the Drew McIntyre one in Cardiff. I thought the Logan Paul match in Saudi was just and Roman was on this run, and then you got Cody as the composite Hogan, Austin, Rock, John Cena, Daniel Bryan guy.
Yeah.
39, I think, is the one.
Do you know what?
But only because of 40.
Do you know what I'd say if I'm not allowed to say that one? Because in terms of I'd always lean towards one I was lucky enough to be in attendance.
I think I know where you're going then.
Right. And 35 was an amazing night, but there was a sense of deflation when it was just like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Why was it a pin? Why was it botched and all that? I'd go 38. Maybe the one where I stole a belt from a child and held it in their face and told them acknowledge Roman Reigns, but probably night 138.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it is a main event and it isn't, because it's a talk show segment that evolves into a...
It takes us back to the question as well, doesn't it? Because that's the Austin effect.
Yes.
And that was missing from 40.
I tricked you, Steve.
Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus.
Let's talk Ricky Starks. A brilliant interview with Ricky Starks on the What Culture Wrestling YouTube channel from our very own Andrew Pollard. Well worth checking that out. And Sean Murphy says, what is the ceiling for a now seemingly Fed-bound Ricky Starks? What brand do you place him on? Who does he feud with? Is WWE ultimately a better fit for him than AEW?
It is right now. It's what I like about the way the pendulum is currently swinging is that even though it appears that WWE appears to be the more fertile ground for someone like a Ricky Starks, and a lot of people on the AEW roster, we are only ever a couple of years from that swinging back the other way. That's the point of two mainstream North American promotions. I still believe in my heart Cody Rhodes will one day return to AEW.
I agree.
I thought it when he left. I think it even more now, because I think there will be a point where he'll go, I did actually complete the game in WWE, and a little bit of his wrestler ego. It's
the last thing to do, isn't it?
His wrestler ego will be like, I've got more business to finish there. So when I say this about Ricky Starks, I don't say it in the way that AEW finished WWE Land of Opportunity, but right now it is. That we've talked about this on, well, pretty much every Raw and SmackDown review because it's such a pleasure to review. Like that mid-card to upper mid-card crop of wrestlers. Just take Raw, right? Damian Priest is a world champion, and that's almost fortunate for him because there are a bunch of contenders that feel kind of more ready for the spot. Gunther, Drew, the Punker.
Yeah.
Like Jey Uso, and he's just lost, right? Like, and they're a King of the Ring tournament again away from like creating four more. Ilya Dragunov felt like a future potential guy in the main event of Raw. This is happening all the time. LA Knight with a catchphrase and a look and less in the ring than what Ricky Starks has got, reached the level he reached.
Yeah.
And has managed to stay there when a lot of people
didn't go to that Saudi show completely convinced that he was...
And like, didn't we kind of like think, well, what do we do after the Roman Reigns? The fall off could be brutal here. And it's been all right.
Yeah.
Like, so I think the sky's the limit. I think that's I don't mean that to sound like a cop-out answer, but if you are wanting to make that move and you believe in yourself and you trust the process, the sky is the limit. I don't think he comes in via NXT, so I think that's the first hurdle jumped.
As much as I love NXT, no.
I think the gimmick...
And also that puts him instantly in people's minds, arguably, for the hardcore fans, he's on the level of AJ Styles. He doesn't need that.
Yeah. I think the gimmick is polished enough, and the current, like, the perfect example to use is Jade Cargill, isn't it? Yeah. She's coming, like, box fresh for WWE, but with all that credit in the bank from an AEW run, Starks would be the same. Like, there's a bunch of, like, cool matches, a bunch of fresh matches. It would feel, as these jumps should, like Cope being in AEW, it should feel like, what the hell are you doing here? And you should be able to, like, dine out on that for a long time. Cope's doing it with these matches in AEW, and Starks would in WWE.
We joked a little bit about it on the news, pairing him with Maximum Male Models, who I still hope eventually return one day to WWE, although they're doing great stuff, and go and support them as much as you can.
And great stuff for Soft Ground,
or Pretty Deadly, which could be a fun first thing of like, well, you're an absolute piece. You want to join us? No. For me, it isn't a better fit right now, WWE, for him than AEW. Yeah, because of all the stuff that's gone on, basically, and it's just a clean slate. I'd put him on Raw. Feuding-wise, I don't know. I think right now, I'm not saying forever, his ceiling is the World Heavyweight Championship, but that's a hell of a ceiling to have. So like, I don't see him winning Cody's belt, but I could see him holding. And you could even, if you really want to rocket strap him, have him coming in the first 6 months, a la how I'd book MJF with Cody's belt, win it almost straight out of the gate.
They're babies in wrestler age now as well. Yeah. Like mid-20s is now when you've got like AJ and Cody, like 45 and 39 or whatever it is. Maybe Cody is 40 now, but like that's your Backlash main event, getting 5 stars and getting those wild reactions and stuff. Ricky Starks has got absolutely ages if he wants to put like an entire career into this.
38 Cody Rhodes.
There you go.
39
so like,
in June.
So there's all the time. There's like, what's Ricky Starks? 25 maybe, something like that. If he's that. Like MJF's around that age as well. There's like all the time in the world for these guys to move. And then remember when Pete Dunne signed that WWE deal a few years ago, and we were like, it's not the worst thing because it's only 4 years.
Yeah,
he could still be AEW ready then if he wanted. Like
he'll be 19 by the time that contract runs out.
They're not signing the last contracts at 30 now, not by a long chalk. Ricky Starks is actually 34. Is he?
Looks good for 34.
Well, even so, that's still ages. But my God, I'd have had him at like mid-20s.
That's not fair.
That is not fair, is it?
How old am I?
Congratulations, Ricky. You're really hot and talented and cool and apparently in your 30s and making it look easy.
I'm 36 this year.
Something like that.
Yeah, 36 this year. I did not look like that 2 years ago.
I mean, I've looked like that. Never.
Yeah, fair point.
It's never been an age thing for me not looking like Ricky Starks.
I've got a question about someone you do look like to remind me to get back to that one. But sticking with this one because we're talking about Ricky Starks and AEW a little bit here. Wow Hunter says, with most of the AEW originals missing from the spotlight, where's Britt, where's Ricky? Has AEW lost its identity? It feels like AEW is focusing on former WWE main roster members minus Ospreay and less on its own homegrown talent.
Am I the wrong person to ask this question of, or am I a total genius? I can't decide, right?
I lean one way more than the other.
Yeah, me too, sadly. No is my short answer to that, but I took a lot of grief when, after the first brawl out, I was like, "Let's get rid of them all." Like, and then people were like, you cannot take the elite out of AEW. You can't. It just will not fit. Like, it's in the naming of the brand. It's and I was like, and like, time's arrow marches only forward. Like, they will one day leave. They will one day retire. Like, you there will be an AEW without the Elite one day.
I think Kenny eventually could go to the Fed.
Sorry if I'm more comfortable with that than you are. And it became like a fight I was destined to lose. I felt a bit like is it like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones where he's holding just all the horses coming towards him. And I was like, I've picked the wrong battle here, like wrong hill to die on. And at the time I was like, I reflected on it. I was like, well, maybe what I just don't get is that like the people that are like ride or die with this promotion are equally ride or die with the Elite, and those two things are intrinsic. Here we are in 2024, and the Elite are embroiled in like a power struggle situation, and for the first time, AEW is being held up as the prize, as the prestige of AEW and all that sort of stuff, and it doesn't really track, does it? Nobody's really buying it. And we've talked, Sidge's done that fantastic article on the website, and we've talked like ad nauseum on podcasts about this should be about men fighting for belts and like women fighting for belts. It shouldn't be about defending the company's honor. Like, and that
power struggle.
Yeah. So like, to answer the question, I've gone the long way around there. To answer the question, I can understand why it sort of feels strange, but it's only because AEW is such a young company. I have absolute faith that they'll get a good deal in this next rights negotiation, and that's them for another 4 years. And look, the Khans are billionaires, that's them for as long as they want AEW to exist. In 10 years' time, the Elite might not be there. In 10 years' time, a lot of the wrestlers you're watching on Dynamite might not be there. Like, the problem with WWE for the longest time was that too many wrestlers were there, or too many wrestlers kept coming back. Like, the change and
very rare that a wrestler says, that's enough for me.
Yeah. The change and the turnaround and all that sort of stuff. It's like, I don't want wrestlers to be out of jobs. I kind of hope the flip sides, but like the change is good for the products. It's just AEW are still navigating that because it's so young. It's 5 years in.
And I don't think the person who asked the question, why I want to meant.
But
what didn't mean the thing, but I do think it's so lazy sometimes when people go, look at all the titles in AEW, all around people who used to be in WWE. Well, they bottled it up. They buggered it up, with Swerve.
Yeah.
You know, Christian Cage, they were doing nout with.
Wrestlers don't belong to brands and never did. No. If you're the Miz, right?
Adam Copeland could have just stayed there all he wanted in WWE. They'd have happily paid him.
Well, like if you're the Miz, I'm looking at that. I'm looking at Mike Raffone's top there, and he's got that WWE logo on it. And if he was wearing it upside down, I'd be thinking of the Miz. He's the most WWE guy there is. You don't hear MTV being like, "You're welcome, WWE."
Yes,
we train them on Real World. Like, it's like wrestlers are the wrestlers, not the company they've worked for no matter how long.
Quick question as well, actually, because this sort of relates to the future of AEW. The one true Aaron Taylor, thank you for your question. If Adam, not me, Cole, and MJF are healed and ready to go, should the feud finish at Wembley? The feud doesn't need a title to be one of the biggest in AEW, and Wembley feels like a fitting finale for it, provided Wardlow locks the Undisputed Kingdom in the changing room.
Yeah.
It's a big question, that whole, what do you do with MJF when he comes back, and do you kind of have to tie a bow on that story, considering how much was invested in it, and yet it's gone so horribly wrong since that moment, if not in the build-up to it, when they were like, quite a lot of injuries people are carrying already in this.
Yeah, it's freezing cold, it's cursed, it's snake bit, it's all of these things. Injuries have destroyed the heat, the whole thing.
But it's MJF.
And it's Adam Cole, and I like symmetry in wrestling, so yes is the short answer. Stick them on the Wembley card, obviously not in the main event, and the less time they've got to build it, the better. Like, everybody knows the story. Everybody also knows why the story's died. So if 1 month out, Adam Cole announces that he's he's down to just like a neck brace or a single crutch, jeez, and then he throws it away. And it's like, Adam Cole is healed, and like the lights go off, and then burp, 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 and before Adam Cole can even celebrate that he's being back, MJF's like, "Oh, you're back, are you? Well, I've been waiting for this exact moment so I can deck you where you've got no excuse." If you do that 2 weeks out from Wembley, it's hot again. Yeah. You have the match, you stick it on in the mid-card. I like the idea of, like, I've always really wanted Wardlow and MJF in some capacity to just have their own version of Wardlow passing the ring to Punk. Just, we've lived 1,000 lives these last couple of years, haven't we?
So you basically say to MJF,
Hey, you all right?
And but then draw a line under it. Like, absolutely draw a line under it. MJF wins, and we kind of never speak of it again.
I mentioned this earlier. Stephen Blaney, thank you, Stephen, for this. Is it time to have a conversation about Gunther as the best in the world? I'd say so.
Yeah, I worry that my lack of knowledge of the best outside of the North American mainstream means that I'm...
Yeah, with that caveat. Best in the world right now, he's right up there for me.
Yeah.
Very different to Ospreay, but...
The the qualifying candidates, I'm rubbish at being able to tell you who outside of WWE and AEW would be in the conversation, truthfully. And I imagine there'll be people watching this with far greater knowledge or have got their finger on the pulse about like sort of guys and girls in Japan, or even those on like the American indies that are making waves, all that kind of thing. But yeah, in terms of TV wrestlers, I am leaning towards Ospreay at the moment out of my personal biases against him. I was never an Ospreay guy ever, and I'd seen the big matches, so it wasn't coming out of this like, I'm not like going like la 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 la. Like I was watching Ospreay and not feeling it and not buying it, and I'm so amazed at like the tiny changes he has made to his game to make him fit as a weekly TV character.
We were wondering if it would ever work.
In a million years, didn't think he stood a chance of just being able to tweak what he does to fit, and it's worked instantly. The knock-on effect is that he feels like an uncrowned world champion. But it's him right now, but Gunther's running him close for the same reasons, really. Like Gunther is another guy that you just never imagined could be like the match you're most excited about on a weekly edition of Raw. And yet, is it not every week we sort of throw our hands up on behalf of the opponent to be like, yeah, well, he got you. Like, like you thought this strategy might work, you thought this strategy might work. And when he comes close to losing, because he lost Sami Zayn, obviously, but when he teases the defeat and then wins out, God, are you with the babyface that almost gets it done? Like, you are so with them when it looks like they're finally going to get it done.
Dropped a mid-card title.
Yeah.
Like, how many times has that happened at WrestleMania and people have gone?
It was huge, wasn't it?
One of the biggest things across both nights.
Yeah. King of the Ring looks like it's going his way. I think again, they'll find
are they going to give him the full... Are they going to find a nice balance with him? Because I sense he'd be involved in that sort of discussion of like, well, I'm not wearing a cape.
I think he wears the crown once, and I think it goes back in its display box, and he's like, when you see him backstage, he's like pictured with it. It's like
Ludwig Kaiser.
Ludwig Kaiser holds the crown. That is it. That's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
literally the right hand of the king. But baby, I'm on a roll.
The Imperium tracksuit, but it's like that regal purple color, purple with gold trim.
And then he can join the Judgment Day.
It's on the UCA. Yep, that's what I was thinking of, Nicholas.
Trunks.
We've not even had Gunther in white yet.
Yeah.
Can you ever imagine the day of Gunther in white? I'll best not be wearing white that day. I'll be white when I'm finished.
Fashion Berlin, you may wear white maybe.
Oh, yeah. Oh, in the style of that gorgeous late 80s Germany home kit.
Yeah.
They're going to be in Berlin. So it's white with like the red and the yellow going across that Adidas kit they had. I want to say it was 1990 maybe. Sent Nicholas into the throes of ecstasy on the desk over there.
Mr. Phoenix says, with the NWA news talking about potentially Billy Corgan being open to working with NXT,
I bet he is.
The light TNA participation in the Rumble, would you rather TNA crossover with NXT, similar in scale, some creative elements, or WWE as a whole, giving TNA a bigger stage to benefit from? Also, would they benefit more or less than with an AEW collab? I think they would get lost in the shuffle with an AEW collab because you've got...
TNA?
Yeah.
TNA and WWE is the one, though. Is that what Miss Phoenix was suggesting instead?
Yeah, main roster or NXT? For me, oh my God.
Oh my God.
An NXT crossover. Admittedly, I'd probably prefer him on an even bigger stage, but like, you can't tell me Joe Hendry wouldn't just be awesome.
I think
in
a lot.
NXT.
I think what threatens to happen there, and I think Mr. Phoenix is a TNA guy, so he maybe want to be doing sort of like careful what you wish for. I think opening that door, I think the collab works. I think I can see a ton of potential matches or a ton of potential like segments where the two universes overlap quite neatly.
Champions right now, I'll look that up.
You got Moose.
Moose, obviously, yeah.
Jordan Grace.
Mustafa Ali.
Yeah. Like, I think for all the overlap works, and it would work very well.
Jordan Grace, obviously.
She was great in the Rumble.
Get on the main roster.
The problem would be is that wrestlers, as they should, would see this as their opportunity to get WWE deals, and what does TNA look like in the aftermath of that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think, like, if you're a TNA fan or you're a diehard with it, I think that you'd be nervous about how that would look. But yeah, but I can see it. I definitely can see it. I think what else, like, there's no real, it's like a sort of a broadly friendly relationship corporate-wise between WWE and TNA as well. There's no huge obstacles getting in the way of such a thing, is there?
Dirty Dango in NXT.
Bring him home.
Bring him home.
Santino could meet the family. How would you navigate Santino Marella and Luca Cristofino having a chat?
I genuinely might have an aneurysm on the podcast.
Could it work both ways, though? Because, like, I don't really watch TNA, so if we could send Gallus there. Oh, hang on. I know.
Kushida there.
I know what's going to make you kill this whole deal. Right? You're enjoying this crossover. You've got, you believe in Joe Hendry. Right? So there he is on NXT, but he brings with him Matt Hardy.
Yeah, I just literally was just looking through
Ultimate Monkey's Paw.
Tommy Dreamer, of course.
Yeah, I'm out.
But having said that, you've got Speedball Mike Bailey. Anything that gets him one step closer to being one of the two biggest companies is fine by me. I think Mike Bailey's always the name. I'm lazy.
Does he want it?
I don't know.
Because I feel like
he couldn't do it for a long time. Obviously, that's why we were lucky enough to have him in WCPW. There was like legal issues.
He's class, but...
And Chris Bay. I want to give a mention to our friend Chris Bay.
Love Chris Bay. And, like, they're just... like, he's got something big on the horizon, TNA. Because they've just done a split angle with ABC. I think that was what they were called. And, like, I'm excited for Chris Bay's...
It was 1, 2, 3, wasn't it, really?
I'm excited for Chris Bay's proper singles run now. Because the Flash is there. Anyway, yeah, Chris Bay's good.
Josh Alexander, yeah.
They're not short on people for this sort of thing to work. But every wrestler would be potentially looking at their options as soon as they're in the door.
Final few questions, like this one from Dell. Given we all love a wrestling theme or two on our playlist, what's your most unexpected banger that nobody expect? Mine is this tune. It's Hardcore Country by Mickey James. Excellent choice.
Hardcore Country. There's probably others. But one that always springs to mind when we discuss this, because it's a bit of a guilty pleasure in Trees, because I was never a massive fan of her as a wrestler, even less so of her as a person. But Lacey Evans' old theme. Loved it. Like, absolutely loved it. I'm going to say, like, you think of an answer, and I'm going to pull out my Good Wrestling Vibes Spotify playlist and see if there's any on there that are absolute stinkers that I just can't resist.
My real guilty pleasure. Not really guilty, because I bang about it in the office all the time. Mm-hmm. Candice Michelle.
Oh, I love it. Raise your raise your hands up. Raise. Loved it.
Yes.
I don't like it. I'm sorry.
I don't like it.
Everybody loves the Evolution theme, don't they? Everybody sort of agrees that's...
I've mentioned King Woods so many times, I'm not going to say it again.
You're a big King Woods guy. I think the most underrated WrestleMania theme of all time, doesn't get anywhere near enough love, is Ladies and Gentlemen by Saliva.
Yeah.
Want you want it? Do you need it? Let me hear it. Ladies and gentlemen. And then you got John Cena on the street. Vince McMahon's getting his head shaved. Steve Austin's in a referee shirt. It looks hideous. Nobody can see anything in the stadium. Shawn Michaels is waving off a streaker. Oh my god!
I've got it on here somewhere, but I can't find it.
Is it in the book?
Because it's not.
It's numbered for one of the old wrestle culture quizzes.
I must have left it as one of them.
Well, this is fun.
Let's see if we find it.
God save.
No.
Rubbish.
No.
What a banger.
Yeah.
You know you want that.
I mean, classic.
Listen, is this going to get us demonetized? No. Good. It's good.
Try one more. Last one, this. All on this.
Like, just a pop generator. It's the glass smash of the women's division.
Right, final couple of questions, and then we've got to wrap this up. But thank you for all of them, and we'll try and answer a few more of them on the news to cover this off. C. Faso says... Hi there, the #1 Hamflett fan here.
Ah, thanks, Steve. Thank you very much.
It's more of a food question rather than a wrestling question. What is the best Mountain Dew cereal combo for PLE PPV viewing?
Ooh, I haven't done this in too long because Dynamite sucked ass and Raw's too long to realistically do it in a working week. But if you're doing it from the UK, where's Steve tweeting us, Xing us from? Because I feel like it means like a late night.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Go sugar heavy. Cereal needs to be...
Oh, it's Steve from the live show. Sorry, I've realised it. Steve. Steve.
Right, Steve, you got to go sugar heavy. It was great to meet you. And that's actually one of my favourite pictures as well, because I seem to be leaning in such a way where it obscures my multiple chins, so I really love that picture that you've got.
Profile pic on Twitter.
Sugar heavy. Go for chocolate-oriented cereals, in my opinion.
Have you tried that one called Best Cereal? I
haven't yet, but I'm going to, because I feel like I want to put it to the test. And I've tried enough to know. I like chocolate shreddies at the moment, but typically anything like when they do like either the Reese's cereal or the Aldi knockoff Reese's cereal, you get a bit of chocolate, you get a bit of honey, you get a bit of peanut butter. It all infuses in the milk. And so you let those particles dance around one another, and it could be a flavour sensation. Mountain Dew, it's all going to kick your ass. They're all 150% plus of your daily sugar intake. I've not spoken erroneously there. So my favourite is Code Red. We all love Pitch Black, but Voltage by name, Voltage by nature, because why is it blue? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because it gives you charge to your whole goddamn body. And original Mountain Dew. Honestly, like when we're in America and I'm getting my 4th cup, that one's for the journey because I've had 3 with my dinner. Like, I just marvel at the colour of it. So I had a lot of Baja Blast in Philadelphia because it was the Taco Bell exclusive that had made it out onto the streets because you could get it in cans. For like some sort of 20th anniversary. And I did like Baja Blast, but the anticipation of trying for years to find it like wasn't quite paid off. OG, like I love the Mountain Dew, have bravery and range, but they did nail it with their first recipe.
Final question today. I'm going to leave it to the #1 Sidgwick mega fan to close off the loop, Matt Rains.
Love that guy.
Best friend of Michael Hamflett as well. Always love that guy, says Matt.
Same.
Where would you guys like to see WWE's B-level PLEs booked next year? They surely have to keep it international at this point. Yeet. Thank you, Matt. Yeet to you.
Stadium of Light, England.
I also have a game we can play with this.
That's right. Oh, Nicholas. They're building I think I've told you this already.
You told me this, yeah.
They're building a venue called the Durham Arena. 15,000-ish seats for family entertainment, boxing and the like in Seaham. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's obviously a I know. I was as shocked as you were. But obviously, like, sort of, it's going to be one of the smaller venues in the region, so I'm probably not going to get fed. I'm going to be stuck with AEW, aren't I? But, like, but yeah, a 15,000-seater, like, sort of, I pass it on my walk to the bus.
It'd be great if the compromise was to get rid of the dirt or rid of the sea and it's just the ham.
The Ham Arena.
Ham Arena.
That's it. From the surgery to the Ham Arena. Like, Dr. Fed doesn't need to get his steps in. What was Matt's question?
Which countries would you like to see him go to? They've done Australia, Scotland, well, Great Britain, effectively.
Germany
France,
would have been a big
Germany.
one, but that one's this year. Yeah, Argentina from Nicholas. That's a hell of a shout.
I also have a random country generator so we can end on a game.
Fantastic. New Zealand.
Yeah? Because you want to go to New Zealand.
Yeah. Basically. Japan. Like, WWE's relationship with Japan
Japan's
is always a strange one, like, because obviously, you know, they're always very much special guests as opposed to getting to feel like the big boys. But like Asia in general is just something that WB have always like been, I've always tiptoed close to without ever like looking for any kind of like major event. I would love to see how, like, I don't think WWE would get inside the egg again, but like a massive venue somewhere in Asia, like aesthetically, that'd be wonderful.
So how do you want to do this?
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Where in the world should WWE go for their PLEs next year? I have literally every country on a big, you can see there, on a big wheel.
Whoa! Can we call it Where in the World Wrestling Entertainment?
Nice, okay. Now, I can limit it to continents if you'd prefer.
No,
so we
countries.
don't end up going to like North Korea.
If a cancelable country pops up, treat it like the roster page and move on.
Okay.
Spin that wheel. Spin that wheel.
Flavor rules?
Yes, please. Yes. So basically,
And also, we're going to the last one because it's fun, but we can also allocate numerous ones because they've already done France.
No, let's commit fully here. This is next year's Backlash.
Okay.
Right.
Puerto Rico is so good, yeah. I mean, like Spain and it's like selfishly, like European ones just hit different, don't they? Anyway, right, okay, here we go. First spin. Oh, this actually spins for quite a while, I've just realised. It's spinning, slowing down, it's slowing down. Would you like to see Backlash go to? No.
This has gone well, Matt.
I'm not going to say what it was, but if you think of the worst country it could have gone to, it was that one.
I think I'm there.
Okay, would you like to see it go to St. Lucia?
Yes.
I imagine we get to go.
Yeah. We'll twist, but I would be more than happy to be like, all right, we'll go and cover it.
Okay. Here we go. would you like to see Backlash 2025 in? Oh, I think it's just missed. It's just missed San Marino there, which would be awesome. Belgium.
Oh, I might stick
Okay.
on Belgium. You been to Belgium, Nicholas?
Yeah.
No, we'll twist. We'll see. We'll see how far and wide we can stretch this with one more. But I like both of those. This is fun.
Yeah.
Like, imagine this is your real job in WB. Where
Imagine
we're
if
going.
this was what happened. No, they just put this
Into the wheel.
and everyone just tunes in.
Guess we're going to get TV deal through there then. Yeah.
Yeah, big.
For situations like this to come up once every 8 months.
I can announce
Get the wheel.
Backlash 2025.
You heard it here first, right? The only real journalist in the game is about to drop the biggest scoop of the summer.
Backlash 2025, following in the footsteps of Puerto Rico and France, of course, is going to Botswana. Congratulations to you, Botswana.
It's alliteration.
Backlash in Botswana. Congratulations.
Matt Rain's going to be honoured for it, isn't he? They're going to build a Matt Rain statue as well. He was on to ask the question, set the wheel in motion.
There we go. I like that game. We'll play it again.
Yeah, definitely.
But for now,
It's got some risks.
Thank you for all your questions. We do regular Q&As on our YouTube channel, usually live, and we'll be live tomorrow for Wrestle Culture. So join us for that, and you can send us some more questions then, and we'll answer a few more of them that you sent us on the news in the coming days as well. But for now, thank you to everyone who's got involved with this. My thanks to Michael Hamflett, who you can follow on X at
Michael Hamflett.
You can follow me at Adam Wilbourn. You can follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. As I said, follow us all at What Culture WB. Subscribe to What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been your questions answered. My thanks to Michael Hamflett. Thanks to you for joining us. We'll see you soon.